Too often, I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. Again, barefaced lies. Too often, I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. I'll say barefaced lies. Again.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. You won't wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah. You can feel it, we never wanna defend, yeah. Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shooting cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced lies.
Barefaced lies. Barefaced lies.
Hey Sean, you got a party? Got that little party going on there. Keep to the left, you can't think right, so everything you do goes wrong, yeah. Incompetence just leads to disaster. Corruption brings it on even faster. What you say?
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit and cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit and cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced lies.
Barefaced lies. Barefaced lies.
Comrades, you always told us you'd build us all a new Jerusalem, yeah. You talk the talk, but when you walk, you only leave a crooked line there. And you don't see the trouble that's brewing if all you do is just what you're doing.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit and cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced lies.
Is this where you wanna be? Debt and childhood poverty. Will somebody set us free from this corrupt kleptocracy? Oh yeah.
Barefaced lies.
That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit and cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit and cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise, you get shit and cold, overgrown, postal phony, barefaced. That's right, yeah, we got an agenda. And it's your money we're gonna spend, yeah. Do you wonder where it's all gonna end, yeah? Do you think we ever wanna defend, yeah? Cause when the truth becomes so easy to disguise.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. On the 20th of November 2003, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon was elected councillor for the Failsworth East Ward of Oldham. Deeply ambitious, he ruthlessly rose to power, and by 2011 he was already leader of the council. In 2015, exploiting a Labour Party loophole, he became MP for Oldham West and Royton. If only the people of the town knew then what they now know. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.
Wednesday, the 29th of April 2026. My name is Raj. A very, very good evening. This is a Recusant 9 transmission. We are going to focus on my hometown for most of today, most of this evening, but it will have clear parallels with everywhere else we are fighting the same battle. So if you're from elsewhere, have a listen and decide for yourself. Decide for yourself if Oldham is unique, and if it isn't unique, whether you're on the same trajectory, whether you're beyond us or you're before us. Decide for yourself. Now, I had a photograph. It's on the thumbnail, and I keep looking at it, and I'm struggling with it. If I'm honest with you, I'm genuinely struggling with it because it's a photograph, and it has a child on it, and I blacked out the photograph of the child. Because the Labour Party and their Muslim brethren in Royton, in one of the wards, put that picture up themselves on Facebook. So before Greater Manchester Police or anyone wants to come and knock on my door, they put it up. And I'm looking at it and thinking, should you be putting maybe a 9 or 10-year-old child up holding a Labour Party placard? Maybe that's what they do. I found it deeply uncomfortable, if I'm honest with you. Evening, Evan. I've not had one of these sort of chatty ones in a while. The last few have been, as you've seen, very, very serious, and the fallout. Oh my God, the fallout, guys. Why would I be anything other than what I am? I try and speak truth to power, and my priority throughout all of this has been consistent. Exposing the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of our nation's children, and making sure those involved, both the rape gang traffickers, those who gang raped the children, those who covered it up, those who failed them, all of them involved, are held to account. So I'm not sure what else you want me to do. And at one point I came up with the phrase, it's the cliche, isn't it? And the tweet or something that Nash Shah was supposed to have liked, those girls should shut their mouths for the sake of diversity. And I was reading some of the responses. I'm thinking Raja Amir should shut his mouth for the sake of restore. It's bizarre, absolutely bizarre. And trying to flip it round onto me is just something else, because if I've said something that's inaccurate in my analysis, then by all means point it out. But no one wanted to point that out, because as you've seen over the last couple of days, it was a piece of work that was necessary. So let's see where it goes. There's part 2 coming out tomorrow. In fact, in terms of the written format. Well, you've got, you guys who watched the transmission yesterday, pretty much got all of it. But there's part 2 of written content of part 2 coming out tomorrow. And I'll release part 3 on Friday. And hopefully, in terms of people saying, well, what do you want to go with it? Where do you want to go with it? I'm thinking, well, isn't it obvious? I want to safeguard children. That's where I want to go with it. And that's that. Right, so in Oldham, we have 20 wards, 60 councillors, 3 councillors per ward, and they're on a rotation, one every year, except for last year. It was a fallow year because there was an all-out the year before, which meant they were all up because of boundary changes. But that's something that happens every 10, 15, 20 years, so yeah, it's not normal. So one every year, and it just cycles. And then a fallow year, one every year, cycles. Yeah. So, what we've got here in my town is an expanding ethnic minority community. Bangladeshis, Pakistanis in the main, and a new wave of African immigrants, refugees, asylum seekers who have settled in the town or been through dispersal schemes ended up in the town. It's been described by the Guardian newspaper as the most segregated town in the country, and in certain areas, in certain parts of the town, it is extremely unlikely to see a brown-faced person, and in other areas of the town it is extremely unlikely to see a white-faced person. And over the last 20 years or so, the ethnic minority communities have been expanding from their historical areas where they lived into the neighbouring wards. And as they've expanded, and I say this without any malice intended, as they've expanded, they've taken over the political representation of those areas. So with the exception of one councillor in this town, and that's council leader Arud Shah, when she was a councillor in South Chadderton. With the exception of one councillor in this town, every other council seat that has gone Asian, Pakistani or Bangladeshi has never gone back to being white. Correct me if I'm wrong, yes, and indeed lots of Romanian's the wrong phrase, Roma community, I think. Nikki, my Romanian friends say those people aren't Romanians. So once they go Asian, with the exception of Arud Shah in Chadderton South, who we removed from power with the Conservative Robert Barnes a few years ago, once they go Asian, they never go back to being white. And once they go Asian, what tends to happen is that the candidates from the other parties also become Asian. And in many of the wards where this takes place, the demographics of that ward are still one where the ethnic minority community, the Pakistani and the Bangladeshis, are in the minority. And no one wants to talk about it for fear of being branded racist, or it affects the multicultural sort of outlook that they want to portray. I think, is it Andy Burnham has just recently announced that Oldham is Greater Manchester's town of culture. So, that is what's took place in the background. Now, the community in Royton, there's 2 wards, Royton North and Royton South, and I would say it's sort of blue collar, lower middle class, predominantly white. The councillors in Royton North, all 3 of them were Conservative up to the point when Lewis Quigg left the Conservatives to lead reform. And in Royton South, all 3 of them were white as well, but 2 of them were independent, and I think there was 1 remaining Labour councillor there. But again, all white. And what's took place in Royton South is really, really troubling for me. And it's the photograph I put up of the meal. So that's the Labour Party candidate. Her name is Catherine England. And she attended a meal in one of the Bangladeshi homes in Brighton with the deputy leader of Oldham Council, a man called Abdul Jabbar. And what they've essentially done is gone out to secure the Muslim bloc vote, or in this case the Bangladeshi bloc vote, because it's the Bangladeshi community, the well-to-do sort of Bangladeshi community, that have wanted to move out of the traditional community in Coldust into the more affluent areas of Brighton. The Pakistanis are doing it as well. If you go down Tandle Hill Road, those of you who know Tandle Hill Road, if you go down Tandle Hill Road, you'll see the transformation of some of those houses there. The gardens disappear, the paving comes out, the blingy sort of gates, and 15 cars on the drive. I'm stereotyping, but as with most stereotypes, many stereotypes, there's a certain element of truth to what I share. It changes the fabric of a community. So what Labour have done in Royton South, they've recognised that there's a block Muslim vote to be had. Small, 150, 200 maybe. But that block Muslim vote can tip the election for them. So they sent out Abdul Jabbar, who knows all about the block vote. And if I have a criticism, it's not just of the Labour Party. My criticism extends to the Bangladeshis who've moved into Royton and have been accepted by the wider community, and this is how they pay them back. That sort of ghetto politics. A lot of the people I know who leave those areas, they leave those areas because they want nothing to do with all of the nastiness in those areas, the dodgy dealings, and bringing them with you. I'm sorry, lads, it's not a good look. Now, Labour is running 2 candidates across Royton's 2 wards in May, Royton North and Royton South, and residents in both, and I'll do it for all the wards, residents in both need to know exactly what Labour are offering. The candidate in Royton North is an absolute scumbag of a man called Clint Piffian. And I'll explain to you why I make reference to him as an absolute scumbag of a man. When we were fighting to get a vote over the line for a national inquiry, for a public inquiry into what's taken place in Oldham, they put plastic, forget the phrase, but walls of plastic around the council chamber to herd in people, make them like the cattle or something. And hundreds of us would go to the meetings, forcing motion after motion. And survivors would be screaming, shouting, demanding justice, demanding an inquiry. Arud Shah, the leader of the council, infamously at one meeting stood up and announced, these were exact words, this motion will be voted down. Because the Labour Party, to this day, are scared of the truth of what will come out. So Piffian, Clint Piffian, because his son's also a councillor, or a candidate. Actually, he's a candidate. We got rid of him, didn't we? His son's a candidate. So it's a father and son team. Jim McMahon loyalists. Yes, thank you, Denise. Perspex. Stood in Oldham's council chamber and argued on the record that a statutory inquiry into the cover-up of the gang rape of children would be a waste of money. I think he was chewing gum at the time he stood up and uttered those words in the council chamber. It would be a waste of money. We mobilised in Royton like we did in other areas. We went after the leaders, but we also went after candidate councillors who were openly holding the survivors in contempt. So we went after Piffian, and Royton's voters, to their credit, removed him. No nonsense, removed him and replaced him with a Conservative. You've got to understand, this isn't a Conservative town. So for them to replace him with a Conservative was significant, more so because what we were doing was against the national trend. Yes, there's a funny relationship there, isn't there? I think his son Carl Piffian worked for McMahon and is on a 3-month sabbatical or something, because they need the loyalists backing. So Clint Piffian stood in Oldham council chamber on the record that an inquiry would be a waste of money. We get rid of him, and look what happens. Labour bring him back. They bring him back as a candidate in Royton North. The party looked at what Piffian said and decided he was the right man. That is a statement of intent, and we should treat it as one, and the people of Royton should treat it as one. Bringing back Piffian to stand as a candidate for the Labour Party is an endorsement by the Labour Party in the town that justice should not come for the hundreds, if not thousands, of children in my town who were gang raped and trafficked, and definitely the hundreds and thousands of children from outside other towns who were trafficked into Oldham to be gang raped. It is a waste of money. The other candidate is Catherine England. She's not even the sitting councillor. The sitting councillor is a woman called Marie Bashforth. I have little time for Marie, by the way, but she's the sitting councillor, and they've deselected her. The party removed her before voters had the opportunity to make a judgment and put England in her place. There was no selection sort of process properly. They removed her. And Labour have chosen these two people for these two wards at this very moment. And this is not a coincidence, it is a decision. Bashforth was removed in the main not because of her, but because her husband, who we'd removed previously, and I mocked him repeatedly when we removed him. We knew him as Barrelgate Bashforth. It's because they wouldn't play along, to their credit. Yes, I'm crediting two Labour Party councillors, her husband and wife, Stephen Bashforth and Marie Bashforth. Bizarre. But I'm crediting them because they wouldn't play along. Deselecting a sitting councillor is not routine. It's not housekeeping. It's not no routine. It requires a decision made by specific people for specific reasons. Nobody in the local press has asked what those reasons were. Who pushed for the removal? Or what England offers that Bashforth did not? The answer is now visible. Marie Bashforth would not entertain a pact with the Muslim bloc vote. She would not remain silent about the gang rape of children. She's now come out and issued a statement on it. Better late than never. And for those of you who say, why are you being so kind? Well, the Conservatives are the same, aren't they? National Party, all those years, didn't help us, did they? And I say, better late than never. Her husband, Stephen Bashforth, has joined Reform and is now openly campaigning for the party, not as a candidate, but delivering leaflets through letterboxes, openly supporting the official candidate. This is what happens to Labour Party members, even senior ones, particularly white ones in this borough, when they refuse to comply. They are removed and replaced with someone who will, which is why England's meeting with community leaders within days of her selection was almost her first visible move. Maybe 100, 200 Bangladeshi votes in Royton, and she goes and meets with the men from those communities. Not the women, the men from those communities. The groundwork, of course, was laid before she arrived. Bashforth's deselection was the precondition for it. And almost immediately after her selection, Catherine England met with leaders of Royton's Muslim community. The purpose, there's no ambiguity, the purpose was to secure their bloc vote ahead of May. She had not won a single vote, had not stood at a single doorstep as Labour's candidate. And here she is, already working the network. This playbook, the Labour Party playbook, has been well used across the borough. A new candidate arrives, meets the right people, and arrangements are understood. Whether England herself understands the full nature of what she has walked into is a question worth asking. If you see her, ask her. That she walked into it this quickly is not in dispute. I'm sorry, if I am speaking too slow for you, Julia. I try my best. The community leaders England met carry with them a sectarian political agenda that has no business being imported into Royton's local democracy. The Bangladeshi community in Royton has been welcomed. Yes, that's what I tried to say it like. Community leader. That's exactly what I tried. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for picking it up. The community leaders England met carry a sectarian political agenda that has no business being imported into Royton's local democracy. The Bangladeshi community in Royton have been welcomed. The town extended that welcome without condition. I spend many a day in Royton. I take my daughter to the park there. My niece goes to swimming lessons in the sports hall. Never an issue. The community has been welcomed. without condition. What is being brought in through England's candidacy and these brokered meetings, where samosas are nibbled, is something Royton never agreed to receive. It is the organised subordination of local representation to communal interest, brokered by people whose loyalty runs to the block vote. Royton is an afterthought to them. It is a stepping stone to the takeover that has occurred in the other wards. You people who live in Royton, with welcoming arms you open your front doors. What is walking through is something else entirely. There's other areas in Oldham. If you're from here, you'll be familiar with them. If you're not, you'll recognise them. What happened in there, the wards of Werneth? So many churches once in Werneth. Colders, St Mary's, again so many churches. Such a diverse, rich community, a historical African Caribbean community. They're all pushed out, all gone. What happened in Werneth, Colders, St Mary's has not happened in Royton yet. Both wards have resisted the pattern of organised political capture that made a mockery of democratic representation elsewhere in Oldham. That resistance is now being directly targeted in both of these wards simultaneously. Three things are happening at once. Royton's Bangladeshi and Pakistani communities are growing. The ward boundaries have been recently redrawn, incorporating areas that were not historically part of these wards. And this new social housing is in prospect for these same areas. Housing association houses, they don't really do council houses anymore, social housing. Who do you think is going to get these houses as rewards? And then what happens as a consequence? Demographic growth alongside redrawn boundaries laced with incoming new housing stock. Oldham's other wards did not fall through cultural osmosis. They were worked. They were manipulated. And I go back to this. The Biradari network does not wait for a ward to become majority minority before it moves, as in more of them than there are of you. It identifies the opportunity early, places the candidate and gets to work on the postal vote operation. Community leadership is engaged along the way. By the time anyone sounds the alarm, it has already happened. Royton is being prepared. The boundary changes and the housing pipeline are part of that preparation. Whether or not every person involved understands the role in it, that is the pattern of what is taking place here that has took place in all the other areas where this has happened. The alternatives, those who should fight them, have collapsed. This isn't an accident. The Conservative Party in Oldham is finished as a force for accountability. Those within it who refused to stay silent about mass electoral fraud and the gangster-infiltrated politics of this town have left them. One has even gone and joined the Pakistani sectarians. You'll have to ask him why. Graham Sheldon. Lewis Quigg has joined Reform, but the root and branch membership gone. Former councillors gone. They've gone to Reform. Decent guys. Small C Conservatives. What remains of the local Conservative group is seeking accommodation with Arood Shah's administration. That's a partnership with the Labour Party. The Conservatives in Oldham, you know when you talk about the Uni Party and you see it at national politics, well, the Uni Party is alive and well in Oldham. They backslap each other. They support each other and they look on us, it's that phrase we use, rabble, riffraff. They look on us as if we are dirt. Dirt because we hold them to account and we dare ask questions. The Conservatives will not speak plainly. They know what is happening and have chosen at best silence and at worst, meeting after meeting, they've stood up and protected the Labour Party, protected Arood Shah. Then you have the Royton Independents, a group that we created. This time round, they've not even fielded a candidate. They fell out with us straight after getting into power because they knew better, and somehow we were riffraff. They've not even fielded a candidate. Squabbling has done to them what Labour could not do alone. They have removed themselves from the fight at the precise moment Royton needs every available option. They also lack the organisation, the unity, and the capacity to mount any challenge against the combined weight of the Labour machine and its Muslim block vote operation. So where does the opposition come from? The same in towns and cities across the country. Red Wall Tories, remember? Gone. Because they were used and spat out and betrayed. The independents, across the board, did dodgy deals, lacked the capacity, lacked the courage, didn't understand the mechanics of local government. Now an irrelevance. There are no Restore candidates standing in any of the wards across the country apart from one. So Restore doesn't feature here. There are no Advance candidates here either. The choice is not complicated. It is narrow, it is deliberate, and it requires people to act on it. And these are the things I am advocating people here to do. One, for goodness sake, vote. Use your vote. The Muslim bloc vote is powerful because the majority of them, in a small number of people, go out and vote strategically. In return for resources, services. We don't. It'd be easy to do that. And should do that perhaps. But use your vote. There are many more of you than there are of them. There always have been. That advantage disappears the moment you stay home. And I say this not as a member of any political party, but in my town, if you want to resist what's coming, you've got to vote Reform. I don't care if you don't like Nigel Farage. I wouldn't say he would make my Christmas card list either. And it may be that next year you go and vote Restore or something else. But right now, the only option you have of fighting against this sectarian takeover, the Islamification of your areas, the complete transformation by a carefully coordinated block vote, the only chance you have is to vote reform. And Gary's here. Lewis, I'm sure, is here. Never says a word, Lewis, too scared to say anything in public, so he hides behind somewhere. They've worked hard. They've got a candidate in every ward. It's not that they'll win every ward, but they've got a candidate in every ward, so you have the choice to go and vote for them. 20 people they put forward. And the third one. And I have these conversations every day. I had 2 today. What are you doing with reform? Are you a member? No. What are you doing with them? Why are you supporting them? They're racist. I had a conversation this afternoon in one of my friends' sort of cafes. I had one this morning. They're a bit far right. And I say, okay, let's have this conversation. Let's have this debate. What specifically about them is racist and far right? Is wanting to put the people of this country, and remember, they don't define the people of this country by some form of ethnic DNA test, is wanting to put British citizens first, racist or far right? Is wanting to deport those who came into this country illegally, racist or far right? Is wanting to deport those who've committed crimes in this country who are foreign nationals or have dual nationality, of which part of it is elsewhere. Is that far right? And when you work through it all, they end up in a place where they acknowledge it isn't. Now clearly, there's a lot of work to be done, because in a town like mine, it is in the interests of those who run it to make sure that the reform contingent are branded as far right and racist. Which is why I think Hope Not Hate have come out against one of the candidates. What's his name? Paul Taylor. The racist Paul Taylor. They found some tweets of his or some posts of his. At best, they're in bad taste. But let me tell you about Paul Taylor. The bits that they leave out. Paul Taylor was a senior member of the fire service. He was busy saving lives of people, pulling them out of burning buildings. I don't think he or any of his team stopped to see the ethnic background or the religious background of those they were rescuing. One of the first times I met Paul Taylor, and I didn't invite him, one of the first times I met Paul Taylor was at a community iftar event where he turned up to break his fast with the rest of us. So, this attack, you know they're going to attack us. And you know each and every one of you know if there's hate inside of you for people just because they were different, or if there's fear of what that difference brings, because it's not one and the same. And areas like Royton, in the end, they do not fall because the numbers are against it. It falls if the people who know exactly what is happening decide that someone else will deal with it, or are too scared to step forward and protect the place they call home for fear of being branded racist by a group of people who I would argue are the real racists. Because once these areas change, they never go back. Once these areas change, all of the candidates become Asian, or as good as. Labour will put one up, the Conservatives will put one up, the Lib Dems will put one up. It's wrong, people. And what's happening in Oldham is happening across the country. We have wards that we have all but lost. We have wards where we have the numbers, but the people there will not vote. And we have wards where there is a small number of targeted block votes that can sway the outcome of an election because the majority in those areas don't vote. He keeps being put up with a hat, doesn't he? Yeah. I can't answer that question for you. And it's not the question I'm asking this evening. The question I'm asking this evening is, can we save our town? And what happens if we miss this opportunity? That is where we're up to. Here, I've done this. I brought it up. You might as well have a look. Let me just have a slurp. He says. These are the wards. Very quickly, here, have a look yourself. Alexander Ward includes the white working class area of Holt's estate. Alt, which is still, a strong white contingent. You've lost it because a small number of Pakistanis have basically coordinated it and taken over. So you've got, for instance, the Oldham group candidate, Shabir Hussain, fighting the Labour Party candidate, Shahid Mushtaq. I hear the squabbling for postal votes has started. The fight is between these two. No one else really, the fight is between these two. There's a game being played here where this candidate, independent candidate Carol Hardy, has been put up by a couple of Asians. So you can see what is there. And then you've got Susan Brown, who's the Reform candidate. Can you see who's missing here? The Conservatives have not even fielded a candidate. The Conservatives have not even fielded a candidate. And you've got Anne Taylor, who's standing as the Northern Heart from Oldham. Interesting. I'll save that story for another day. Chadderton Central, an area where the Muslims, the Pakistan, Bangladeshis really, overspill have took over. And there's a white candidate there, but all the other candidates are pretty much Asian. And the fight will be, it shouldn't be, But the fight will be between the Labour Party candidate, Nazrul Islam, who also happens to be the chairman of the local mosque, and my mate Razon, who was the Conservative and is now the Independent. And you've got a Reform candidate, and you've actually got the numbers here. We've looked at it. You've got the numbers to win this, because the Labour Party and Razon will take votes off each other, and Reform really should be coming through the middle if you can get people to vote for you. Chadderton North, still a white battleground, one of the few left. Colin McLaren, heavyweight Labour Party councillor, and he's up against John Ford from Reform. You should be voting for John. He's a decent guy. Ex-Conservative as well, I think. Yeah, ex-Conservative. Chadderton South, another one Reform should be taking. We took it with a Conservative candidate, remember, in the past. Don't bother wasting your time voting for Stephen Davenport. The Conservatives are basically putting him up to weaken Reform. Because the Reform candidate there is Rob Jackson, decent bloke, and he is up against, look, Kyle Piffian. So that's the Labour Party candidate, that's the father and son combination. And the Oldham group, the Pakistani sectarians and Islamists, and I keep referencing them as Pakistani sectarians and Islamists, have put on Mohammed Irfan. Why? Because it's one of the areas that they are expanding into. It's the overspill from Werneth. So if we don't get our act together now and mobilise our block vote, Chadderton South, by next election, will fall. Coldest, where I grew up, Westwood, forget it. The fight is between two builders, Abdul Malik, the Labour Party candidate, and another builder, Abu Talib, the Independent. Got nothing to do with Labour, nothing to do with independence. It's to do with Biradari-style Bangladeshi politics, village politics. But even here, and it's important, Elaine Whittingham is standing for Reform. It's important because when a general election comes along, the 500 people we can get to vote for us there is 500 more we have for a general election. Crompton used to have more millionaires, I think, than any other part. It's historically Lib Dem. It's that sort of, we believe in diversity because diversity, lives nowhere near us. There was a Lib Dem candidate there, but I think he's been suspended for coming onto a young man on work experience. I'm not joking. So what you've got here is his replacement, and his replacement, when I see her, is Hazel Gloucester. She's actually a decent Lib Dem councillor, or was, because she lost last time. So she's a solid pair of hands, but you've also got a Reform option. And then you've got a whole host of, independent options, which are squabbling with each other. You can see Alicia Dunn, Sean Duffy. It's just waste of time. Waste of time. And Lateef Chowdhury, of course, is one of Labour Party's boys. He knows he's not going to win, but he's standing there hoping for favours, I think. Failsworth East, historical Failsworth Independent territory. Remember the Failsworth Independent Party, Brian Hoban and Neil Hindle betrayed the town and went and got in bed with the Labour Party. Brian Hoban is scheduled to become the mayor. Lewis Quigg, up to nice mischief, put an email out confirming that he and his candidates wouldn't be voting for Brian to be mayor. It was not his turn to be mayor, by the way, but Arud Shah did a deal with him in exchange for you get to be mayor as long as you supply the votes. It's a very underhand thing that took place there. Andrew Bucks, Reform, just go and vote for him. He'll smash it. Because you got this idiot. Hindle, fails of Independent Party. Sorry, the idiots I made reference to specifically is Chris Goodwin. Was a Labour Party councillor in South Chadderton. Clearly fell out with whatever is going on there and has been moved. So the Labour Party have done their sums and think, okay, Chadderton South, we've got a better chance. Put Kyle Piffian in because Kyle Piffian is Jim McMahon's bag carrier. Failsworth West. We mock him as BMPP, Pete Davis. Used to be, what's his credentials from the Labour Party? Was he Jim McMahon's gardener or something? So that's what he was. And you've got a very, very good Reform candidate. With Mark there. Just go and vote for him. Just go and vote for him. Hollingwood is going to be really interesting. Robert Barnes. Standing in Hollingwood. He's been pounding the streets. He's got bad knees, bad ankles. Out every night. And what we're hoping we can see there, because this is one of those areas that's been historically white working class, hugely apathetic, with an increasing Asian community moving in, Pakistani community in the main moving in. So what you're seeing here is one of the Abids, the Labour Party, so it's a clan, one of the Abids, the official Labour Party candidate, and they will be taking on Abdul Wahid, the deputy leader, heavyweight of the Oldham group. Of course, Abdul Wahid's brother is an international, convicted, isn't he, Abdul? Convicted international drug smuggler. I'm not joking. So if I was here, hopefully the two Biradari clans will take votes of each other. And if enough of you come out and help him, you will have a very, very decent councillor in there. His casework, a councillor isn't just about standing up in the council chamber or going to meetings. The bedrock of a good councillor at a local level is the amount of casework they do. And Robert, to his credit, that's what he specialises in. So please, if you're there in Hollingwood, if you're anything to do with me, and you're from Limeside, Hollins, those sort of areas, where there's still some fight left in you, well then go and fight for Robert. Medlock Vale, we got no chance. Again, another one of those 8 Asian sort of takeover areas. It's gone. It's gone. It's been gone for a long time. We've got a candidate, Victor Flowers. I think he's had the mick taken out of him on the local media, but I'm sure he's got a thick skin, and I found it funny. Have I got a new mate? Oh, John Lawrence. The National Housing Party here, sorry. You can go and vote for John Lawrence if you want. I think even John Lawrence will acknowledge he'll do well to get 200 votes. Medlock Vale. The fight's between, yet again, the Labour Party and the Pakistani sectarians. The two candidates, Sharoon Zaman, Junaid Hussain. Two Biradari clans basically fighting out. Do you see what our democracy's become? Right and north. The sitting councillor is actually Christine Adams. Listen. The Conservatives have all but partnered with the Labour Party in Oldham. I'll say that to Christine's face and to her husband Dave Arnott's face. They've all but partnered. They supported the appointment of Shelley Kipling as Chief Executive. They supported the appointment of Alexander Bogotoff as Borough Solicitor. These are Arood Shah loyalists, Labour Party loyalists, who have been brought in to try and strengthen the Labour Party and protect them from the rape gang inquiries. Should never have backed those candidates. So no, if you vote for the Conservatives in Royton North, it's not a vote for the Conservatives, it's a vote for the Labour Party. And that's how I see it. You got Clint Piffian. I mean, it's a Labour town. There's always a block vote. I guarantee you'll get 700, at least 800 votes. And what you've got here is Paul Robinson. Reverend Paul Robinson. I fell out with Paul Robinson. Straightened things out. Good guy. Vote for him. I'd vote for him. If I lived in Royton, I'd vote for him. Hopefully we can get him over the line, because you've already got Lewis Quigg there. Royton South. She's my mate, actually. Miranda Meadowcroft from the Green Party. She's old school Green. I like Miranda. If you're that way inclined, and if you're going to vote Labour, you're of the left, vote for Miranda rather than voting for Catherine England. At least Miranda's not going and nibbling samosas. I think she's a vegetarian, by the way, lads. I mean, anyone in the Muslim bloc vote wanting to court Miranda, I think she's a vegetarian, from what I remember. Tony Pinder. Go and vote for Tony Pinder for reform. We can win this. Here. Saddleworth North. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard because I think what you've got is a strong sort of Lib Dem and Conservative sort of a freeway. But you've got Ewan. He's new. And Gary and Laura Tarbuck are sponsoring. So Iron's new, so we know he's new. But he's standing. It takes courage to stand. Sitting councillor's gone. He's had enough, Luke Lancaster. But you got another Luke Bywater from the Conservatives. Whilst I agree with you, I don't know if she'd class me as a friend anymore, but Miranda is my friend. I consider her a friend. Saddleworth South. Get this woman out. Helen Bishop. In the world of Helen Bishop, people like me, who look like me, are racists. Get that woman out. Chris McManus used to be a Conservative councillor, now standing as a Reform candidate. He's a decent man. He's a decent man. Please, if you live there, go and vote for Chris. Saddleworth Western Lees. Peter Klonowski is the Reform candidate. He's historical UKIP. He was a UKIP councillor in Oldham a long time ago. So maybe, hopefully, his name will get him over the line. But it's a Lib Dem area. And Alicia Marland is well liked. You know, it's easy for me to just start calling them names, but Alicia Marland, she's been a good councillor. And she came from like a community organisation before she became a councillor. So it's going to be an interesting fight between those two. The others have no chance. Shaw. Howard Sykes. 40 years? Have I made that up? 20 years? Councillor, resigned. Lib Dem leader gone. The candidate you've got from the Lib Dems is this kid, and he's a kid, Tom Pencuff. You've got the independents squabbling amongst themselves, so this is the Mincy Boy team. Lee Navesey, I think, has had a falling out with the Nafura. Mincy Boy. I think that's the Mincy Boy's official candidate. Sarah Howarth. Is that the one they kept asking about what her policy was on road safety? And then I looked and found that a certain person with the same name, and I'm presuming it's Sarah Howarth. If it isn't, my apologies. But someone with the same name was done for drink driving. And then you've got Steve. I think Steve can win it. Yeah, I genuinely think you will see a reform councillor in Shaw. It was, wasn't it, Denise? I'll play the video at some point. Someone sent me the video, and it was one of the funniest things I've seen. They were asking this woman at the end of a meeting, and the meeting was horribly wrong. They were asking her what her position was on road safety. I'll put it up tomorrow. St. James, sitting councillor, never said a word. Well, she has, but you understand. I hardly ever see her say anything. Angela Cosgrove, and she's up against Gary Tarbuck. Come on, mate, we're going to smash him. And you can see the Oldham group, because the immigrants, the change in the community, they're sniffing around to see if they can secure their block vote and move themselves forward. I would, if I lived in St. James, I would be very, very concerned. So go out and vote for Gary Tarbuck. St. Mary's, this is the Glodic hellhole, Pakistani Central. You've got the sitting councillor Aftab Hussain, Labour, who was actually independent and then switched to Labour when they needed him on side to get into power. So he's not very well liked in St. Mary's. In fact, my friend at the kebab shop, Faz, said words to the extent of, is he going to get in? And he's up against the Oldham Group candidate, Sunny Shah, who is the brother of the candidate Shaban, who had his car firebombed and his mum's house suffer an arson attack. Even here, what courage, even here, Reform have put up a candidate. Wow. Waterhead. Again, it's the Pakistani creep that's took place here. The Labour Party have removed a sitting white councillor. He's no longer standing, and the Labour Party candidate here, of course, is a Pakistani. Akil Salamat. Akil Salamat was done for benefit fraud. Yeah, I'm not joking. It was done for benefit fraud. He's a very wealthy man. He used to sit behind me in English in school, so I know Akil, but it was done for benefit fraud. Then you've got the Oldham group candidate, so this is the fight they say it. Alawat, Mir Alawat, so that's the Oldham group, so that's the cartel fight, that's the biradari fight with each other. He's standing Majid Khan because the Oldham group wouldn't let him in. I think he stood in Failsworth last time, didn't you, Majid? You like talking about me online, don't you, Majid, you prick? Will you get 10 votes? 20 votes? Yeah. Wankers. Green Party candidate. Paul the racist Taylor. Paul, I'm joking. Go and vote for Paul. Every council chamber needs a Paul. And you best have voted for Paul Taylor, Pauline. Or maybe be one of the single figures that vote for Majid. Who's this? Is this a Helen Bishop family member? I don't know. Oh. It's a Lib Dem. They got no chance there. He's an interesting guy, Stuart. He always stands as an independent. I've met him a couple of times. I've never had a disagreement with him. I think he's just a local guy who cares about where he lives. And the one that'll make the national news. Yeah. They wouldn't give him the seat. The candidacy, I think, is what happened. Wornath. In Wornath, we have the Labour Party proxy, or the Arood Shah proxy, Mohammed Imran Ali, that's the getaway driver Irish Immy. We have the Kingpin, is how I describe him, Fida Hussein, from the Labour Party. And we have Nazir Rangzip from the Workers' Party. Why are you sending me photographs of Paul Eric promoting? This is Advance UK or Restore, I can't work out which, who are now not only endorsing Rangzib Nazir, but apparently pushing the narrative that apparently it's this lad who exposed all the grooming gangs in Oldham. But look, it's the Workers' Party and the Oldham group. Cameron Guffaw. That's the guy whose building fell over, apparently. Maybe the wind blew it over. Is the last defence I heard. Crazy, isn't it? Crazy that Advance UK are promoting this guy. Unless he's not Advance UK and he's just decided to claim he's now Advance UK. I don't know. Let me see if I've... Here it is, look. Have a look. Nice Advance UK Restore sort of candidate. What will happen in Oldham? If it goes to plan, if we can get enough people to come out and vote, we can have a solid number of reform candidates in, and they can establish a platform, do some good work in the community, be a voice for you in the council chamber, and take a massive step towards saving the town from an all but silent surrender to various sectarian factions fighting it out for control. Once these communities go Asian, Pakistani or Bangladeshi, once these councillors go Pakistani or Bangladeshi, they never come back. It's just Arood Shah, and we beat her and chased her out of Chadderton. Now we've got a strategy. Take the areas where we should be taking. Hold in the areas where the takeover is creeping in. And then take the fight back to them in the areas that they hold. And by the time we finished, we will defeat these sectarian candidates, these biradari candidates, irrespective of what colour rosette they wear, with white reform candidates. Or Asian reform candidates, but you understand what I mean. We will take these communities back. And then once we've taken these communities back, we will chase them into their heartlands and rejuvenate a community that has forgotten who they once were and whose descendants they actually are. It will take time. I was speaking with my friend Nick earlier today, and he was speaking to me. Remember, I'm not a member of any of these parties. I'll have a conversation with my friend Lewis and the others on the 8th, the night after the count. And I will offer my services to my friends, not necessarily to the political party, and to my town. And what happens next is up to them. But you're right, seeing, whatever we do, whatever the starting point is, we have to vote. We have to go out and vote and believe that the people who are finally standing for us have the right intentions. What sort of life is it to live without hope? I don't know. I refuse to surrender to hopelessness. Maybe that's a folly, but I refuse to surrender to hopelessness. And I refuse to turn my back on the people and the places that raised me. Which is why we find ourselves in a rather unusual position of a man like me with a background like me fighting for a political party that he doesn't belong to, but whose friends have found refuge there, and I will not abandon them. So, if you found value in this, and it was really for Oldham, really, I wanted to talk about my hometown and share my perspective on that. I think reform can take a minimum of 6 and up to 10 of the council seats, which is half. Next week. You've run a good campaign. You've run a clean campaign. And the mainstream media attack on you as racists and far right. Now, be proud of who you are. People standing up for the place you call home. And standing up for all of the people in those places who want to live alongside each other. I will be releasing something tomorrow morning. Glutton for Punishment, part 2 of the Rape Gang Inquiry Analysis. You'll find it on Facebook. The link on Facebook will be published on Redwall and the Rabble. I'll publish it on X. I'll sit back, maybe some of you get the popcorn. I'm very grateful to those of you who have intervened and defended me. I'm very disappointed in those of you who know better than to question my motive as if I'm, doing this out of spite. I'm doing this for the same reason I've done this for long before Rupert Law came along, long before Restore came along, long before Reform came along. It's to safeguard children and protect our communities. It's what I've been doing all my life. If you find value in my work, please consider buying me a coffee, maybe a super chat. I think we've had 1 or 2 super chats today, so I'll put them up. Thank you, Stuart. I think you gave me some money right at the beginning. And thank you, lad. Thank you so much for the £5. And if you find value in my work, support me. If you clearly have a voice. Clearly people are sufficiently concerned to come and say, why are you saying this? What about the bent counters? Evan, the bent counters, we've got counters on every one of the tables, brother. We have got 20 reform candidates standing, one in every ward. It's good, isn't it? They've done well, haven't they? Take some courage and conviction. Please sign up to Redwall and the Rabble. Please buy me a coffee. I seem to have lost a chunk of people. We lost them before, remember? We lost them in Oldham when something very similar happened. The only reason I'm here is because I've stayed true to my convictions. I've been honest with each and every one of you. And in return, enough of you have stood by me. And I believe, I hope that will continue. I do look forward to the article in your inboxes. I think you'll enjoy it. Very good evening.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.